like what, you know, growing up, like when did you first like? Cause I'm a major fan of production myself.
Right.
And like I can remember like growing up and I still have album cases and going through there looking up producer names and learning different producers and kind of just starting now and going back and doing my research and even just having jazz classes in school. You know what I'm saying? Being interested just in music in general. So who are some of your favorite composers? Just like overall and over time, and you know what I'm saying? Just
Some of my favorite producers, I would start off with Jermaine Dupri. I was a big fan of Jermaine Dupri since I was a real youngster. I was always a fan of his versatility, and that's something that I always kind of applied to my own music when I've been coming up in the ranks, as far as just trying to be as versatile as I can be, not allowing people to be able to put me in a box. I want to be a one-stop shop. So any type of artist comes to me, whether you're a rapper, a singer, a pop artist, a country singer, whatever, I feel like I need to be able to provide whatever service that you need just as a producer. So people like Jermaine Dupri, Timbaland, shouts out to my big homie Get Cool. Get Cool is actually from Cordell, Georgia as well. He's one of my OGs. He's a producer himself and he's super versatile. So I was able to kind of see him firsthand, see how he was able to come up in the ranks and how he created music and things of that nature. So him, Pharrell, pretty much all the versatile producers are my favorites. You know what I'm saying? So to name a few.
Oh yeah.
To name a few.
Absolutely. You mentioned that Pharrell, being one of my favorite producers of all time. And probably got my favorite song of all time on the production wise, like it's Frontin'.
Oh yeah, Frontin', the production on that is stupid. It's stupid crazy, yeah. He did a hell of a job.
Facts. Well, like what's your songs that kind of just like take you away like that? Like,
I'm a big R&B fan. Of course, I listen to rap. I love rap, but 6 days out of the week, mostly I'm gonna be listening to R&B music. A lot of older R&B music. I like groups like New Edition. I like artists like Alexander O'Neal. I like Sade. And even present day, R&B acts. I'm a real big Chris Brown fan. Party Next Door. I'm a big fan of Drake's R&B music. So I like R&B, man. If it's good R&B music, then 10 times out of 10, I'm listening to it.
Yeah. What? Now you bringing up like kind of like the current trend and like what music going on. Kind of like what you think about like the remix trend and what I'm saying, kind of like what Hitmaker taking it. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's dope. Hitmaker's actually one of my favorite producers currently right now too. Shouts out to Hitmaker. He's actually said in a couple of interviews that he was kind of trying to emulate what Puffy did back in the 90s. Basically take a lot of the older records and flipping them and sampling them and turning to new hits. So I think it's dope because I feel like even when it comes down to doing something like that, it's creativity and knowing how to sample and bring the most out of a sample that a lot of people can identify with. So I think it's cool. I have a few records that I've sampled. Of course, they haven't been put out yet, but that's something that I'm into as well. So I think it's dope. I support that 110%.
Absolutely. Like talk about like your like what led you to making your first production, or were you an artist first and then you got into production? Like what's that story?
All right, so what made me officially want to get into music, I forgot what year it was. It was some years ago. It was actually Christmas Eve, and I was riding in the car with my dad and my cousin, and a song came on the radio. I don't remember what song it was, but I just remember telling my dad and my cousin, like, dang, I want to, how they make beats like this, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know how I can do something like this. So my cousin, shouts out to my cousin Taven, that's my first cousin, that's my brother. He was like, hey, I know a website you can go on to download a software where you can make beats. That platform is FL Studio. A lot of people know it as Fruity Loops. I started off with FL Studio 4. So my dad had one of my older cousins actually come over to the house and install the demo version of Fruity Loops 4 on the computer. Yeah. So with me being so young at the time, you know, I underestimated the process. You know, I was thinking to myself like, okay, I'm gonna be able to hop on the computer and just start making 5 beats right off the bat. But that wasn't the case. It was nothing like I expected it to be. With me, you know, when you're young, your attention span is kind of short. So I sat down, played with it for a little minute. I'm like, this might not be for me. So I ended up probably quitting for like 3 months. But I still had the software on my computer, so I'm like, look, I feel like this is something that I could really do. So I told myself, look, I'm gonna sit down every afternoon, every night until I get it. So every day after school, instead of me going outside to play with my other partners in the neighborhood or whatnot, I just sit at the computer and just mess around with the software every day until I finally got to a point where I'm like, okay, I can do this. Yeah. So it just over time, I just put more and more time into it, more and more effort into it, and ultimately